We're gonna do a quick intro. Each of the presenters is gonna take you through quickly what we're gonna be presenting during the share time. But once we've done intros, then you'll be able to mill around for just a second. Please note that most everybody has brought additional stuff that they have crafted by hand to sell. If you're interested in buying gifts from the artists here, I really encourage you to do so. My name's Meredith, and I work here at Living Web Farms, but I'm also an author and a food consultant outside of my work here. These are my books that I have for sale. They're completely unrelated to what I'm presenting tonight, which is making homemade peppermint patties. And so it's a pretty quick, I would say like 30 minutes. And then you can sort of leave while your patties are drying and setting and go on to somebody else if you want to do this. And then I just have some spiced nuts to share and a recipe you can take home if you'd like to do that. And my books are for sale if anybody's interested in butchery or curing meats. That's kind of my specialty, and I'm offering a lot of classes on that. So if you're interested in that stuff, ask me. They make great presents, class registrations.
Okay, so I'm going to be outside. I'm going to be showing you. None of the stuff I'm going to show is going to take very long. Really, the time comes before now. And only a few of the things I have can you do for this Christmas, but you can plan for next Christmas and have a lot. It's going to be forcing bulbs, giving away garlic, and saving seeds and giving away seeds. And if anybody's really adventurous, I have a lot of overgrown daffodils that are coming up because of the absence of global climate disruption, which of course is not happening. Anyways, you can actually dig yourself some free bulbs that are already pretty much conditioned. It'll probably be blooming close to Christmas. But it'll be hard work and wet and dirty.
I'm Michelle Carter, the owner of Heart Nectar, Beeswax, and Botanicals. I am the beekeeper at Living Web Farms and the gardening and science teacher here at Naturally Grown School. Tonight we're going to be making hand-dipped tapers, pure beeswax, and if you want a short craft, then these will take about 30 to 45 minutes, and the full set will take a little over an hour. I can take up to 5 people in my group, and we're going to try and run another one around 6:15.
Hi, I feel really grateful to be here because I'm not part of Living Web Farm, but somehow I got connected with these women, and I'm so thrilled to end up here. My name is Jessica, and I own Wax On Batik and Dye Studio in Asheville, and I want to let you know a little bit about that. I offer classes and workshops at my studio. I actually have a huge studio. It's about the size of this room, and every week I'm teaching some workshop either in different ways to fold tie-dyes. This is a mandala fold, and that class is coming up soon. I also do ice dyeing a lot, which a lot of people enjoy for the subtleties. It's not quite as like, I call it neon rainbow spirals as most tie-dye, which I personally don't wear neon rainbow spirals, but I will wear other tie-dye techniques. And then I also do, not tonight, sadly, but at the studio, I do batik, which is the second hot wax craft discussed tonight, where we create a resist on fabric with beeswax, and then we boil it out when we're done. And so I have brought 8 colors of dye, and I brought 10 blank t-shirts in a variety of adult sizes. So 10 people can tie-dye with me tonight, unless you brought your own thing, which then more people can come because I've got soaking solution for you too. So as far as how long it takes, it depends on the intricacy of the pattern that you choose. A simple spiral, you'll be out of here in 10 minutes and you can go do other things. And I'll just be teaching rolling throughout the evening. So you don't have to come at any particular time. If the table is full, do something else. And if there's a spot, come on over.
My name is Alyssa Sakura, and I have a small homestead and art studio in Fairview, which is pretty close to here. I am a bookmaker and a paper maker, and I do things with natural dyes, so more of a plant fiber artist. And tonight we're going to make books, kind of a simplified version, and we're going to focus on sewing the books together rather than making fancy covers or other things like that. So each person in this group, which can be a group of 8, will just get a blank version, and we'll learn how to fold the pages, poke the holes, and do the stitches, which you can then easily transfer to book covers and other things of your choice. If you work with me, you're in it for the haul. It's going to take 2 hours, maybe a little bit more on the end, depending on how fast everybody gets it. So this would be like your token craft for the night, but then you could take these skills with you and continue on. I also have crafts for sale over here too, and I do also teach classes at my studio in Fairview, so if you're interested in any of that, let me know.
And the name of the studio?
The Patchwork Underground.
All
right. Hey, everybody. My name is Kelly Adair. We're making holiday wreaths outside. Admittedly, I've never taught this class before, but I've made wreaths with my mom for as long as I can remember. So it's just like a fun thing that you can do around the holidays. And sometimes people adorn them with, things you could buy in stores, but I think it's just as fun to put all natural items on there. So that's what I have tonight. So outside, we will be making the wreaths and then decorating them as well. But you can also leave your wreath blank if you have some really sparkly, fun decorations at home. That could be a way to go. I can take about 5 people at a time, and it's going to take about 40 minutes to do one. And if you see a spot out there, just come and plug in whenever, because it takes a while to add the greens and wrap them with wire. So you can plug in whenever. Traditionally, I'm a natural builder and conventional builder, so this is just like a fun little thing for me to do. I don't really have anything for sale. I could have made some, but I'm in the process of moving, so that's really taken all my extra time.
Your website or Facebook page?
So I have a Facebook page. It's Kelly Adair, my name, and also a natural building page as well. So if you're interested in anything like that, just come and talk to me.
Pat wants to say one more thing.
When I was growing up, there was a thing called Christmas clubs. So I date myself with that, where people would put money in the bank all year long so they had money for Christmas. And lots of things that I teach tend to be things that you have to work on all year. And so I can show you the culmination of it now. Or actually, bulbs aren't all year, but they take more planning. So I'm going to propose that anybody's interested can join me for next year in a Christmas club. And what we'll probably work on is starting plants that could be wonderful house gifts that would be perennial kind of cuttings, starting from cuttings or from seeds and having them ready for Christmas. If you're interested in that, just give me your email address and I'll let you know after the holidays when we'll start.
Nice.
So we are going to make these tapers today, and you can choose. This set, or this taper, is just skinnier versions of this, twisted together. We start off with cotton square braid wick. It's size 1 if you ever want to dip your own candles. It's size 1 wick. And we're going to prime it in some hot beeswax over here. We want to keep the temperature of the beeswax around 165 degrees. And then at the very end, we'll crank it up so it gets the candles have a nice golden sheen to finish up. And as we come around, maybe if we form like a little line in a circle, and it's really perfect to do it like that because as you're dipping candles, you have to wait a little bit between dips, and so it works really well like that. Yeah. Do you want to dip?
Yeah, we'd love to. Okay.
Okay, so when we prime the wicks, we're gonna put the ends together evenly, and then pinch an inch at the top or more. You could do 2 inches. And we're gonna hold this down in the wax while it bubbles. So you're gonna start to see bubbles coming up, and that is the cotton absorbing the hot wax. And so it'll take a few seconds for that to finish bubbling. Yeah. So I'll demonstrate here. And then every time you dip your candles, if you'll just hold it here for a minute to let the drips. I'll put a piece of paper here. You can hold it over this paper, but just to try and minimize the drips between.
Michelle, can you use fabric and like boil it out of the fabric?
You can boil it out of the fabric. Mm-hmm. So it cools pretty quickly, and then you're going to stretch it. Just carefully stretch it like that. Yeah. Now it's straight. And we're going to continue to straighten them in the beginning. So let's start with priming our wicks, and then we'll move on to step 2.
Okay. So I measured the size of the boards based on size pros.
I would love to make some for birthday presents. I have a bunch
No, but you can make birthday candles.
So it should be able to.
Yeah.
Can I use hemp?
You can.
I have so much of it.
Yeah. For these, it would probably be fine to use hemp.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I started out using hemp too, but it's
the difference with these?
I mean, it smokes more, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and it's twisted. It's a twisted fiber, and this is a square braided fiber, so this burns slower. Hemp will burn faster. Things like that.
That makes
But
sense.
it's okay, you know,
Right.
especially for these. And on round 2, we want to get the tapered look. So see how they're fatter at the bottom? So we just need to do some bottom dips, and we're gonna dip a little bit. We're gonna dip at intervals. 1, 2, and then 3, about halfway up. I'll show you. So I hold them apart like this. So I go 1, and then I wait till it's done dripping. 2, 3. And we're gonna do that for 2 rounds. And you could actually just dip it one more time at the bottom again if you wanted. Because as we do further dips, it'll come up. Did you see how fast that was? Yeah. Whether you're doing the spiral or the tapers, the process is the same right now. As your wicks start to curl, resist the urge to straighten them until they feel cool to the touch. And then you can gently straighten them.
Should we offer?
So dip low at the beginning, and then tapers or interval, and then dip again low. This is the most primitive way of dipping candles. There are different ways that racks you can build and use, and you can tie nuts down at the bottom so that they don't. You can roll them between glass, but this works just as well. This is how I started doing it, and I made beautiful tapers. Yeah, it's really all about the temperature of the wax and the speed at which you dip.
What is it? You want it just boiling, like right above simmer?
165.
165.
Mm-hmm. This time we're going to dip all the way in, and I really encourage you to hold it with two hands so that you're keeping them from sticking together.
I know. I'm showing as a sacrificial lamb what not to do.
Yeah.
Thanks, Christine. And we're going to make this a really fluid process, because if the bottom stays at the bottom of the pot for too long, then it's going to start to melt off. So we want it to just be a fluid process, just and out. Go all the way to the bottom. Once you feel the bottom, go all the way down there. So it feels, in the beginning, it feels like, oh, this is going really, are my candles building very much? And it seems like a slow process. But after there's a certain point, and then it builds really fast. Yeah, so it feels slow at first, and then it speeds up.
It is fun.
So if you want to dip tapers at home, you can see that this is not very much wax. And it's surprising to realize how much wax you have to have, in your pot to get it as deep, to get a deep candle, a long candle.
I'm back.
You're back? Go for it.
That's what I did.
That's right. Double TV.
So the shirts have been soaked in soda ash, which is sodium carbonate. It's a cousin of baking soda. So baking soda is sodium bicarbonate, and soda ash is sodium carbonate. So
What does that mean?
well, what it does is it's an alkalizer. It raises the alkalinity of the t-shirt by soaking in the liquid. And we need that alkalinity because these are fiber reactive dyes. They're professional dyes, and they don't stay bright in the wash unless you've soaked it in soda ash. Like that soda ash plus these dyes equals bright wash after wash, year after year. So it's permanent. It makes it permanent. Exactly. You can just use water and it will look really bright until you wash it, and then it fades. So a lot of people are like, yeah, I did tie-dye once. It was a camp or something. Like it came out really pale, and that's the missing ingredient is the sodium carbonate. Here's some patterns. So basically, tie-dye is just origami with dyes. So I'll start you with the easiest one. We'll just talk about some options, and then so be thinking. Oh, thank you. I can even put that in. This is the typical, standard, easiest one to do. This is the spiral in sacred geometry. It's the golden mean, and you get it by twisting the shirt. So you can see it. So the starburst shoots out from the inside, and the spiral wraps around. So, same shirt, same twist, different places of putting your colors makes totally different patterns.
What I did is
Shibori is Japanese tie-dye, and so picking things up and banding it together is one of the main shibori patterns. We've been doing that in tie-dye too here in the States. So this is sort of like the typical 70s costume, you know, because it's really easy to do. And you don't have to put one bullseye in the very center of your shirt. You can do little bullseyes all over. So if you've seen those really beautiful indigo shibori patterns, everywhere you pick up fabric and bind it tightly, either with string or a rubber band, will create one of those little bullseyes. So this is just a bullseye inside of a bullseye inside of a bullseye. And you could go out through the rest of your shirt, or you could just do little ones. You could do one in the middle. Okay, so we've got our spiral, our starburst, our bullseye, and now it's going to start getting a little more complicated. These are twins. This is an X, and this is a diamond. And so this is where I'm going to blow your mind. When you fold your t-shirt in half, if I fold this shirt in half, this is still the center of the shirt. Right? If I fold it in half again, this is still the center of the shirt. I now have multiplied, anything I do is going to be multiplied by 4, so I'm working in quadrants. When I do a line of color across here, it looks like one triangle until you open it up, and it's actually repeated 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So anything you do when you fold your shirt into 4 quadrants is multiplied by 4. So you can think about the diamond as being a line from the armpit to the neck. And when you think about the X now with the same fold, this is a line from the middle of the shirt out to the shoulder. So anything you do when you fold the shirt like that is going to be multiplied by 4. So now you can start taking previous knowledge with this new fold. What would happen if I folded it into 4 and made a bullseye right there? When you open it up, you'll get 1, 2, 3, 4 bullseyes.
okay. After you fold it.
Exactly. So whatever I do after this is going to be repeated by 4. You've got it. Okay, only 2 more patterns to show you, and then you have to make a choice on what you're going to do for your shirt. Here is one of the sweetest, cutest little things you could possibly do, and it only involves 1 rubber band. I'm going to gather, any place you make a gather with a rubber band is going to create a boundary. So, exactly. And you can see all these little fissures here just come from gathering the shirt. So any place you make a gather with a rubber band is going to keep your shirt white. The tighter you bind it, the more white you'll see. So a floppy loose rubber band doesn't get you very much white space. So if you do lots and lots and lots of rubber bands, you'll have a really clear line. So that's just one bind. With this shirt, we made it a watermelon, but if you did green up here and brown out there, you could have a kiwi. You could do red and orange and have like a blood, what are those grapefruit? A blood orange or a ruby red grapefruit. And then of course the seeds are drawn on with a Sharpie afterwards. No matter how many times I say that, there's always one person who takes the black dye and starts making dots. I'm like, it's a liquid, it's gonna run away. My last pattern is my favorite. I do it on everything. This is fireworks. Some people call it chaos or explosions. And the way you do it is you crumple your shirt low and flat like this. And you make the brain fold. Doesn't it look kind of like a brain? Especially when it's white. It looks a lot like a brain. And everywhere that I've gathered catches the dye differently, and so it creates this pattern all over. And you don't have to use the same colors everywhere. You could use different colors.
You put rubber band on it?
Yeah, eventually when it's all, it needs to be like a hamburger patty, kind of like all gathered into one. And then we will put a few rubber bands around it just to hold it together. Because all of these you need to work from both sides. So we need to be able to flip it over and dye from both sides.
I want to do the X.
Okay, so we have one choice, the X. What do you think? Shall we go back through them? Okay, let's go through them. We're going to leave the X out for your inspiration. And of course, you don't just have to choose those patterns. I mean those colors. And yours is between the first two?
The bullseye or the spiral.
Oh, the bullseye or the spiral. Okay, so let's switch those. Okay, so you don't have to just use 2 colors. You know how I was telling you it's like a pizza cut in half? You could cut that pizza into 4 and have 4 different quadrants, and it will be 4 colors wrapping around itself. Or 3 if you're feeling really sneaky about it. You know? Yeah. Or 8 if you're feeling really detail oriented. But I did 2 to show you the geometry. Especially here in Asheville, we're really into our sacred geometry and our spiritual numbers, and so that is that golden mean that just, if you could, would just disappear forever and then keep going as big as the rim. So, yeah. So now that you've decided, have you decided? Okay, spiral, cool. So we've got 1 spiral and 1 X. I'm going to help you guys wrap up your shirts, and then you can start hitting the dies.
That you'll have to cut in half.
Leave these up here as inspiration for you both.
But mine, if you got a big sheet of paper or drawing. So you can do whatever you want. That's a great idea. It's open. Yeah. Okay. So just again, you want your cover to be a 1/4 inch bigger height-wise and 1 inch bigger width-wise. It's up to your artistic preference how many more holes you want. But as a general rule of thumb, you want your holes no more than an inch apart for the bulk of them. So these are 3/4 inches. This is a little bit more, but it's in the middle, so that's totally fine. Yeah, you can see that one's kind of got the similar style. This one has a little bit more. So really this is an opportunity for you to be creative in what kind of aesthetic you want on the front.
We want to get that tailored.
So what I made a template, and then I stack my boards together. And I literally just drill it.
Really drill?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. You can also use an awl and just poke it. But you have to use a lot of force to do that. So you would poke it from one side and then poke it from the other side. I always do them together so that they match. And then I always mark the top with a T. Just so it's always on the top. And as we go through this process, you'll see that I'm just always paying attention. The top is always the top. And so that way if you mess up your math, it doesn't really matter because your holes will still be aligned from the top to the bottom.
When you use the awl, do you put it on like styrofoam or some softer stuff?
Yeah, foam books are awesome. A cutting mat, any surface that you can't mess up. Even a piece of wood, you could poke if it's not like your kitchen table or something. Yeah.
The easiest one, just talk about some options, and then.
So to get started, what we're gonna do is take our pages. Right now these are just paper. But what we're gonna do is fold together stacks of them to make signatures. And I've set this up so that we'll have 8 signatures. So each one of these is a signature. And each signature has 5 pages. So in your stack, you should have 40 sheets. And what we're going to do is just measure out 5. Then you're going to fold it in half. And take one of these bone folders and just press that fold. So with this kind of bookmaking, because all the pages are the same size, they won't be exact over here. That's impossible because the one on the outside, is pushed back further than the others. I'm okay with that, and that's what we're going to do tonight. If you have a hard time with that, then you could go back in with a razor knife and even that up. I like the more textured, flexible look. It's less precise and more nice. So because we're small groups, everyone can get a bone razor. And you really want to do this because you want to really enforce that fold. And so you'll end up with 8 stacks of 5. The grain of the cover runs one way and the grain of your cover paper and all the pages run the same way. Your book won't bounce.
Top to bottom.
Yeah.
So this is the top of, I want my grain to go from the
Yeah, rather than left to right. So I want no, the grain is just like It's like fabric too. So it's the way that it's processed. It's kind of not really thinner, but the fibers are going in this direction. You want to make sure the grain goes from top to bottom. Okay. So in this piece of paper, if I folded it this way, the grain would be going from left to right. So it tells you which way it has to go. So your fold can still be on the side.
So as long as I fold it wherever it doesn't resist, that's the grain.
Yeah, you fold it actually on the grain. So if you wanted to make a book that was more this way, you know, you could totally make a book that you stitched at the top rather than the side, but you still want the grain to go from top to bottom. Like if say you wanted to make a wall calendar or something, you still want the grain to go this way. Makes sense?
Thank you, because I'm literally like, I keep touching on the warmer.
So I'll show the next step and then I'll help everybody get to the same point before we start sewing. We're going to poke a hole in the signature based on where we decided to put the holes in our cover.
It's surprising to
So I already made everybody a template for that. And what I did was measure the cover, found the middle, measure the page and cut a little strip that matches. And I found the middle of that, and then I lined up the middles and just took my pencil and made a mark where each hole is. Noting that there's a T here, so the top is always the top. Okay. So what this ends up being is our pattern for the holes that we need to poke into the pages. So you each have one there. I like to fold it so that the pencil's on the inside so it doesn't rub onto my pages. And then what you'll do is open up your foam book.
I did not believe you could do 3 colors because of
And one signature at a time. Deciding right now, like in your stack, that the top is the top, and every time you move something, the top will stay the top and in the same place.
Yellow and purple is a bold move.
I love them.
Yellow and purple.
You'll line up the top of the template with the top of the pages.
Yeah.
Well, if you get in between, you can get around.
That's very brave.
That money makes bronze. I love the color.
Yeah.
So we think like, oh, that color was that
These
color.
are pretty sharp, so just be
I
careful.
think it depends on the color purple and the color.
And then line the fold with the fold of the foam book. It kind of acts as a cradle and nestles in there. And what you'll be able to do
That's less wax we have.
is using your awl, you'll poke through the template and all the way through the pages. It doesn't take a lot of effort. This is pretty thin paper, but you're just poking straight through. And it's important to make sure that you stay in that folded seam so that your holes come out on the fold on the other side. It's really easy to poke sideways. You know, if you get a hole that comes out the front of your book, you won't be able to line up your pages with the cover.
So do we need to let the temperature change? Or is that already?
So again, just place your signature in the center of the foam book.
I missed the part of where it had marked that.
Yep, they're already marked actually for you.
On the outside, but.
Yeah, so we'll fold it to the inside.
That's a huge hole. I guess you don't have to push so hard.
Yeah, you'll get a feel for it. You'll get a feel for it.
It doesn't have to be big, right?
Not too big. I mean, it needs to be big enough for your needle and then 2 layers of thread to go through. So you'll line that up at the top there, and then you just take your awl and go down and mark each of those holes.
I think that we'll find out once we start threading. Right? And then I'll know for next time.
Oh, they don't need to be that big. Are these a little large?
They're a little bit large, but I mean, you'll have to pull this through.
Yeah.
Fold it up over an eye of a needle, so it needs to be big enough for that. Usually, if you poke them small, they'll end up getting bigger while you sew anyway. Okay, so as you work through your stack and just fold over the signatures so that you always keep the top lined up with the top. So what I like to do is have my cover, and let's just say with the one with the T on it is the outside. I fold that over, poke my holes, fold that over, and just keep folding your book.
That will help. I've got a bunch in my house. Yeah. So do you want to do 2 colors or 4 colors or what?
She's doing that.
What are you going for?
Absolutely you can. Okay, so I did not believe you could do 3 colors because of the way you put the rubber bands on, and then a kid blew my mind with this. Okay, so if you divide it into 8.
Also, yellow and purple is a bold move. Because
I love them.
yellow and purple together, not super happy.
Now
You get muddy.
Yeah.
It's muddy easy.
Well, if you get in between, you can get
I
brown.
love that
It's
mud.
very brave.
That
I know.
muddy makes bronze. I love the color bronze.
Yeah.
So we think like, oh, that color plus that color is going to equal brown. I'm like, I love that.
I think it depends on the color purple and the color.
So now, am I right?
So as we're dipping and wax is going on to the wick, then that's less wax we have in our pot, which will start to change the shape of our candle as we're dipping. So I'm gonna be adding wax, more hot wax. If the wax is too hot, then the candle doesn't build up as much and it gets these dimples in it. If the wax is too cold, then it starts to get lumpy.
Very fun. Why are you two in line?
Like break dipping is awesome.
Like you have
I don't like to brag, but I just don't think
Are
nice.
you a professional?
Yes, that's right. I never win at the sports ball. So I like to know that I'm really excelling at something.
And this is where you have to decide how thick the X is going to be, like how wide it is. Mine's really narrow, like that wide. Yeah, I guess that's about the same. So you can do more or less. It's totally up to you. That's about what that is. And of course it'll grow. It's going to spread, that's right. Okay, so see how my X is purple and black? It alternates. It goes black, purple, black, purple, black, purple.
Yeah.
Okay, so the way you do that is on side A, you put color A, and on side B, you put color B, and when you open it up, lo and behold, it goes A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, all the way around. You don't have to.
Right.
You could do a solid color, but I made my X alternating colors.
Okay.
So it is totally up to you. And then you have another choice, which is these two are going to be the same color, and these two are going to be the same color, but they don't all have to be the same color, because this is the inside of your X, top and bottom. And this is the outside of your X, top and bottom. So I chose to make mine pink and pink. But you don't have to.
I think I'm going to do mine.
Okay. We've got turquoise. So you're going to do turquoise and amethyst. Wonderful.
And then I can do 2 colors on here.
That's right.
So
Should
I do the inside?
I mean, you could do 4 if you wanted to get crazy. You could go color 1, color 2, 3, color 4. Yeah. Exactly. Please feel free to look through the
Can I go ahead and do
You can go ahead and do
the outside?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I recommend going ahead and doing the same section where yeah, please do. So that doesn't happen.
So she made me this holder.
So I just let this thing go.
You're gonna soak
The
it.
tie-dye? You know the tie-dye?
And the lower you go towards the shirt, the less splashing you'll have.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you really lift it up, of course, it would splatter everywhere.
It is.
Look at that beautiful shirt. That is, but do all your blue first. So see how there's some spots inside? Yeah, don't be afraid to open it up and look at it, peek inside the fold and really see how the sides look in.
How are we looking? This is my last triple dip.
This was your last.
Still tiny dimply. Do you see?
Yeah, I would just do it. I would
Triple
just go.
dip again?
No, I would
just
just.
one?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, I just did one triple.
Yeah.
And just do one.
Okay.
Just not 3 dipping or 1 dipping? Just one now.
Just one.
Okay, so that was it for basically the people who want to do the garden club for next year, or even for this year.
You want to try to get a little again.
Basically, this is one of my favorite clubs.
stuff in the hundreds. So what is that around here? What's going on? I said, and she said you can trim it.
Oh yeah, trim it, add some pine cones.
And you take this one, your double iron stuff.
Oh yeah.
Handle it. Oh yeah. Well, no, kind of enjoy it. Yeah. Easier to
Okay, so this time as you come around, I think it's important that we go ahead and start, after you let it cool for a minute, pinch the tips, pinch the bottoms.
Oh.
Just like, can I demonstrate on yours?
Pinch my tips.
Do you see how there's this?
Oh.
See, there's no wick there, and then you
can't. Right.
and then you can just mold it with your hands a little. We're pinching the tips. Yeah, I would let it cool for just another second. Do you want to pinch your other tip?
I do. I've been dying to pinch my tip. That's fine.
And then you can just the wax.
Toss it back in.
Yeah, or you can just throw it here.
In this bowl. Ooh, that's fun.
Everybody's needs to be pinched.
But let it cool a little bit.
Because your candle is growing from the bottom and there's no wick there. It's just the drips are collecting at the bottom.
Yeah. I dig that. Okay.
I'll talk a little bit about
This is where my perfectionist is wanting to go crazy.
Okay, so we're getting to the point. Is there anyone making a twist?
I'm twisting.
You're twisting? Yeah, you're there.
I am?
Yeah, so drop yours in the cold water
Okay.
and then just leave them there. For just
I like our people.
I'm
We
so
should
glad
have
you
done
came to my
introductions.
class.
Totally forgot.
I would have
those
thought
look
you
really
had to
good.
twist while warm. No?
I know how to dip.
No, you want to keep them. You want them to cool down.
Did you ever know the water nozzles, Chris?
I worked that in a little bit in this winter, and then top dressing the liner. Put it right around the shoulders and these back up. You want to keep them well mowed and well mowed.
And she put the saddest thing she said was something like Brian having a little boy.
It's like,
That's what they're going to make.
because if you want to leave them loose, you can actually tie off this wire right now, and then you can add decorations to it.
Megan doesn't know where Debbie is. And nobody.
Do you want me to tie that off for you?
Not a good. Would you say that again?
So she made it all the way around. So I was saying that if you make it all the way around, you can just tie it off right there, and then you can start putting decorations in.
But then also we can do the things like those, like a pot full of herbs, you know. But we can grow them a lot bigger. This was just an example of what can be done, but obviously it's not going to be really washed by this Christmas. But if we do the Christmas club, then they can all be nice and big by the time we get there. You know. Other things you can do, and actually this could be done tonight. We actually have loads of figs you can take cuttings from. Is you can just take a cutting or two of figs, burn them in really well, keep them moist, and by let's say June, July of next year, they'll be starting to grow. And so by next Christmas, you can give somebody a nice big fig tree.
I want to give me a nice big fig tree.
Well, we can do that. You know? We can set you up so you have yourself a nice big fig tree. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then another one that I realized, because of how gorgeous these beans are, that this was something that we should teach. These beans are just inspiring. Tough skin, but inspiring. Christmas lima.
Oh, those are beautiful.
Yeah. And so you could grow these and give them as food, but you could also grow these and make packages, which I brought down stuff for people to do tonight. If they want to put a package of about 5 to 10 seeds in, I'd be happy to give them to them. And then you give these for somebody to grow next year and grow their own Christmas limas.
Okay. You know? And so are they very good to eat or more for decoration?
Oh no, they're very tasty. Oh yeah, they're a delicious heirloom. They happen to be gorgeous too. You know. which kind of inspires people. This one actually is a little bit less bright red than some. Or maybe they change color as they sit in the fridge. But no, that's more like, you know, they're more like that usually, you know. You like a little bit more white, I guess, for contrast, you know. But they're just, everybody looks at them and just falls in love with them, you know. And somebody said, you know, I'm looking forward to them feeding me, and I said, you've already been fed. You know? You've been fed just by looking at them, you know. And so then what I brought was some catalogs, so you could cut out some pictures of lima beans or something and make your own little envelope, you know. And then in the catalog would be the instructions on how to grow it, so you give people instructions, you know. And that's a very simple gift. And lots of the gifts that I think of is like, well, maybe I'm not going to give this to my nephews, they're going to roll their eyes. But there's all these people that, you know, I want to give a little something to, you know. And I don't want it to be a little something that's kind of some silly throwaway thing or some joke. I'd rather give something that I just put together myself and that oftentimes really catches their imagination.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pinch them. Let's see. Let's put them even. Let me feel them.
Are they nice?
They're nice. They feel good.
Okay.
Okay. So you're gonna pinch them at the top there.
Okay. Like here?
Yeah. Yeah. Like
or
right
like here?
Yeah. Maybe.
Okay.
And then you're just gonna start twisting. Gentle.
Gentle. Okay.
Gentle. Slow.
Okay.
And it depends too. So because we don't want there to be cracks or bumps.
Okay. No cracks or bumps.
That's too hot.
Squeeze and shit. Yes. Yeah, it is. Okay.
He knows immediately. I put it in the cold water.
You just gotta let it sit there for a minute.
Dip
Why
it
don't you?
again?
Yeah, dip it again.
How am I doing?
Great. Remember not to over twist.
Okay.
Before I twist.
One more. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so beautiful. Okay, so now you're gonna dip it one more time.
Okay. But I should try to push this together a little.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, squeeze it together a little at the bottom, and then you're gonna dip it one more time.
Okay.
That's beautiful. Nice twist.
Oh my God. That is a beautiful twist. You named artisan. That's right.
Are you all done?
Can I see your, so I can gauge the temperature of the wax? Okay, the next time you dip, will you dip 3 quick times?
I'm gonna ice water.
Did you dip it again?
I
You did? Okay, just leave it. Yeah, so
Just
put
let
it.
it out?
Yeah, no, put it in the water and then just leave it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Yeah, just forget about it.
Forget about it. I know.
That was good. Are you gonna dip? Are you gonna twist? Yeah. You are? Okay, I think you're ready. Just go ahead and put yours in the water.
Oh my God.
That looks so great.
Lovely.
That looks good.
Okay, but so we're gonna do something with hot oil. I need to come back or something, right? Hot wax, like in a while. Different temperature of wax. It was a good uniform. Michelle saw me. While I was
Healthy.
Yeah. Then I had an amazing allergic reaction and was home covered with hives with a headache.
It's probably good. I would flip them.
Makeup. What?
Hold the tips in so that the tips get cool like this for just a minute.
But you can't do those sparkly, glittery things. I just keep on.
And then you can use this paper towel to just gently dry them off.
That's a good donation. That's right. Like, yes.
So if you are starting to get lumps, you can dip 3 times in. 1, 2, 3 quick times. Just quick times, yeah. And you can do that a couple times until your candles start to smooth out.
Unless they are lovely ladies.
All right, are you ready for your twist?
Ready to twist it.
Okay, so you're gonna hold it at the top, squeeze this together, and then twist. Okay. You got I believe.
And then I pinch it together as I twist?
If you want to practice on this one, you can.
Okay, I would love to. I'm nervous.
So squeeze, and then I even do like a little twist at the top.
So it's like that.
Would you like to practice on these first?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I feel? I'm gonna feel the temperature of yours just to make sure. Yeah, they feel good. I'm gonna.
Do you twist from the bottom, like where the
I twist up. I start at the top, at the wick, and twist down. You're doing it exactly right.
Skill over
twist from the
Maybe
canvas?
I just bounced them too much. Maybe I won't bounce. No bounce.
Just go really slow.
Slow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now am I done?
Mm-hmm. You're done. You're done. Thank you for participating in my class.
Should I pull it?
Yeah. Go ahead and jump in.
Not bad. Sweet.
It looks great. It looks awesome. And you can even squeeze it together a little bit at the bottom if you want.
Slow. I like it.
Yeah.
Very
slow.
And then, and Kelly, you're going to dip it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, forcing bulbs, and we can even dig some from our yards right now to force, all different kinds, so you can have an array of them going, growing garlic, and then teaching people how to grow it, or making them something with it, and making little planters or rooting big trees. All of those are things you can simply do where you're giving basically a connection to life, a connection to nature. And to me, that's a special thing. And it definitely helps empower the whole, go to the mall and buy stuff.
So I actually end it with that. I'll wrap it around.
And put another piece right there. Or I can put a bow there and it'll be fine.
Yeah, you can do that.
I'm going to add some more wax. Dipping tapers becomes an intuitive process. So you're watching the way the candle is behaving, the way the wax is, hanging off the candle, and how much wax is dripping off the bottom of the candle, and then to understand the speed of your dips, like how I'm saying, like dip 3 times, things like that. So when I'm not doing it, it's hard to gauge.
So you can flip your cover towards you so that the holes are facing you. And then we're going to go into the center of our first signature into the bottom hole. So that's the hole on the left. And this is called the tail of your book. So we have the head and the tail. So take your needle and go from the inside of the signature to the outside of the signature. And pull the thread through until you have about 3 inches on the inside.
From the inside to the outside.
Yep.
On the tail,
Yeah, so it'll be the hole next to your left hand. Good catch, Corinne. Good catch.
Oh, so we started at the bottom.
Yeah, we started at the front of the bottom.
All right.
Yep.
It's raining and
Leave about 3 inches. And that's so you don't risk pulling it all the way out as we do the next step. So that's why we stagger the thread. So you just need to stagger it a little bit more. Your tails are really close together. So move your needle so that one comes up like there. Does that make sense?
or the candle holder that has the spike.
Okay.
Yeah, I go there.
This is more where I need to leave.
Yeah, about 3 inches.
I need a ruler to know 3.
Oh, just roughly. That's great. More is better than less.
Okay.
Okay. So then for the cover, we'll do this over and over again. We're going to go from the outside of the cover to the inside of the cover.
I do mostly needle felting. That's how I started. Yeah, with my needle felting. Really? That's awesome. That's so fun. I was doing
From the fingers down really big food. So you got a single thread now?
Yeah, perfect. And then you may want to move your needle up so that way. There you go.
So when I'm working, I work with with the cover facing my belly. The cover's facing my belly and the signatures stack away from you as you go through the process.
Exactly right.
Yeah, that's it. Just once or twice?
You could dip it again, but I would, yeah. You could, or you could let it cool a little bit and then dip it again.
Should I do another triple or
Let's see.
I'm very bumpy.
You are very bumpy. I would do a slow triple. A slow triple.
So in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you just need to stagger it a little bit more. Your tails are really close together. So move your needle so that one comes up like there. Does that make sense?
Or the candle holder that has the spider.
Okay.
So then for the cover, we'll do this over and over again. We're gonna go from the outside of the cover to the inside of the cover.
I do mostly needle felting. That's how I started. Yeah, with my business. Needle felting. That's awesome. That's so fun.
So you take your needle, you go from the outside of the cover to the inside of the cover. You have to keep them apart for that, otherwise you'd be poking your pages.
Okay. In the same hole.
Yep, that's perfect.
Awesome.
Does that make sense for you?
You know, when Lisa has sent out, I do the marketing for them. So,
Keep coming back.
I had mine in the form, and mine was the I'm really excited about your project.
Yeah, nope, it's on the right-hand side, and then straight into the...
Okay, so we're going to be making some peppermint patties right here. Really simple, really fun. And essentially what we're doing is we're going to be making a sugar fondant by mixing milk, cream, butter, cream of tartar, and a lot of sugar, and then heating it to what we call the softball stage in candy making, which means that it's malleable, but it's got some stick-to-itiveness to it, so it can take a shape. The disc that you associate with the peppermint patty being the shape that we're going for. So in this pot I have sugar, milk, heavy cream, all organic of course, cream of tartar and butter, and I'm gonna let it come to a boil without disturbing it first. Then I'm gonna take and turn the heat down to medium, and I have a candy thermometer. And the key for the soft ball stage, and it even gives you a little guide on these old school thermometers, you want it to be like 235 to 240 degrees Fahrenheit. So once this has come to a boil, turn it down to medium, put the candy thermometer in, and when it reaches 235, then it's time to act again. And then in the back here on a double boiler, I just have some semi-sweet, or you can use like German sweet baking chocolate, and it's melting over the double boiler to keep it from getting chunky. We want it to be nice and smooth when we dip the fondant in it later. But there's gonna be some downtime while we're waiting for all this to come together. Then we're gonna take the fondant and we're gonna put it, it's very hot, so you wanna be very careful. When it gets to that 236 degrees, 240 degrees, I usually turn it out just on a sheet pan, and you can use any kind of heat-proof spatula or knife to just agitate it and mix it as much as possible. And as it cools, you'll notice it starts to hold together. When it's cool enough to touch, I'm gonna work in just a tad bit of peppermint oil. And then knead it, form it into discs about 1.5 inches in diameter, and then dip it in the chocolate and cool it on the wax paper. And as soon as it's hardened, it's good to go, and it keeps it in an airtight container for about a week. Before you need to probably refrigerate it or just heat it up.
This came up and I'm like, oh. She's actually here. I was like, oh, do you want to go do this? She's like, oh yeah.
The same really good things like content for
It's for content to share, and I shared it. So
cool.
on her page because I thought it was a cool Asheville.
Yep, so our dead to the left of that stitch we just
And so everyone shares their
perfect.
Yeah, you did it. And so then you go back in that hole, right? So we did the same signature hole? In the signature hole, exactly. You know? You hear it.
So while you're doing this, you want to think about your tension. And you want to make sure you don't have a big loop of thread in the inside hanging out.
So just to summarize.
Yeah.
So the process, you go through the signature.
It's like a box of tea. Yeah.
And then on the outside of the book to the inside, and then back through the signature.
Yep. So you're essentially sewing the pages. Anybody else want to start
to the
tie-dye? The cover.
Oh, I think so.
Get to this place, you might go back into this.
You have to go down all six.
Yeah.
Okay, wait.
I just wanted to, if there's anyone out here I appreciate your figuring web.
No, it's not great. For this next one, you're going to go from the outside to the inside of the structure. So if it's hard to find your hole, go to the inside and just poke a little hole. And then go back there.
Starting at the top or the bottom?
You'll be on the right side now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Tonight, and so you'll have a reminder. I'll leave that. And every signature will start this way. So you never go into the signature. You never go into the last one. You always add the next
together, the less you get to peppermint patties.
Yes.
So I think I must have stuck here because I'm on the agitated as it's pulling.
It's just not going to be sweet if you don't. You can try maple, but the thing about this is you need some dry seasonings to stick, you know, create that crunch.
I'm in town visiting my sister and getting a job.
Yes, it is.
I'm moving here. My ex is my daughter's mom is
So this is the fondant, and it's really not necessary to mess with it too much at this point, but as it cools, you want to be gathering it up together, because obviously the more you have of it together, the less of it's stuck to the pan, and the more peppermint patties you get out of it. So I'm just going to be using these cake spatulas to agitate it as it's cooling, and you know, we'll notice when it gets to the point where I really need to start moving and adding the peppermint oil and making shapes out of it.
Yeah, so then we're going to go out the next hole.
Chemical reaction and cure, they start curing and becoming permanent once they touch the soda ash. So a lot of people think that in order to tie-dye, you have to get the dye powders, and then you just soak your shirt in water. What are you trying to do? And they think you're doing great because it looks really bright until you wash it.
So watch this. We are moving. We are moving from right to left.
Usually the answer is
so. There's an ideal and then there's just doing it. But the ideal is you go down to the left side of the stitch that connects the cover and the first signature. And then you come back up on the right side of that stitch. So see how I'm like leaving a space with my hands so I can work?
And so it's kind of like
Can you say that again?
Yep. You go down to the left side of the stitch that holds the cover to the first signature. And then you come back up on the right side. So you're making a loop around that stitch.
the chemical reaction can start.
I have to get your needle through.
Open up your book and make a space.
Until I run out, I just stick them in the fridge and they last.
So you'll be making your space between the first signature and the cover.
What kind of pattern you want to do? And then the next thing you need to decide is.
But then it's also kind of first signatures is no colors, right?
Faster?
Yeah.
Start with those and tell you the colors.
I would just go down and then grab it and then come back up and just do separate.
So I brought the neon
corners.
Yeah, the insurance companies are just.
They're sticking just because they didn't get to dry before I had to pack them up and come over here. So I'm sorry about that. Yeah, if you allow them enough time to dry, they'll be nice and dry and crispy.
Predict that within our lifetime, we're going to see that business going down anyway.
I'm just making peppermint patties at this point.
All of them.
I'm actually really looking forward. So you'll be making your space.
A lot of people are. So
What kind of pattern?
the next generation will definitely be.
But then it's also kind of sweet of
You need a shot of that? It's hot. Careful.
I'll start with those and tell you the colors.
People are
So make a space. Like I require that you make this space. So open up your book. So that your needle just goes right through it, like nothing. Oh, I've got a really big brown on the left. I've got turquoise. Yep. Inside.
Yep. So it's just like, it's sugar, cream, milk, butter, and a little cream of tartar. And no, this is the peppermint patties on the inside. So I just heated it to like a softball stage, about 240 degrees Fahrenheit, and I mean, did you eyeball it to say it's something? No, you measure it with a candy thermometer. So I did a candy thermometer until 240 degrees, and then just pour it out here, and as it cools, like just sort of try to collect it. And when it starts getting to where it's keeping a shape, I'll put the peppermint oil in it and make the little discs, and then it's just as simple as dipping them in chocolate and letting them cool. So it's really easy, really rewarding.
So you've got chocolate melting in the glass, right? Yeah.
Ooh, that peppermint oil's like right in my eyes. It's the oven, the pilot light, when it's turned down low, like split.
And wrap it around that plum. You want to stick yours in there?
Make sure it's got lots
So you got to hold it in place and then take that and wrap it around a few times right at the base.
Porcelain and serpentine garlics, slip mix, both make this flower stuff.
I have another little thing we can do if you wanted to.
Lovely curls on it.
Yep, so pull that tight, nice and tight. Awesome. So now this is the first piece adhered on there. So what you'll do is find another clump.
Yep.
So you'll just keep doing that. And what you'll do is we layer them over. So like this part is kind of the unattractive part. We want to hide that. So you'll put this right on top of it. And then you'll start wrapping down around this piece. And you'll keep doing that. So you can actually have that function.
Yeah, things are happening. Just like mold it into a disc, yeah, and then dip it in chocolate and let it cool on wax paper and you're done. Pretty easy. This part's the hardest part, just getting the fondant to the right temp, and it's just like, it's time, you know, but it's kind of fun to sit here and mess with it, you know.
No problem.
Okay, good.
And it's organically grown.
Okay.
It's my favorite product.
I thought it was too late.
It's not too late. It's getting pretty soon. I have successfully planted it in late January. Don't do that.
Okay.
It used to be a joke. I'm afraid to show
Yours is looking really good. You're getting the idea of it. Yeah,
But then
you
in
got it.
2009 and 2010, I got hymns.
So now it's at the point where I'm pretty ready to knead the fondant, and I find it's helpful to keep your hands kind of wet so it doesn't stick. Make sure it's not too hot for you. Obviously, it can be dangerous.
So basically what I do, you can try to add sort of a zigzag.
Still not quite there.
So you can start looking on the side that you're working on. This side, back on this side. You feel it starting.
So what are the ingredients? You just on it again?
It's sugar, cream, milk, butter, and cream of tartar.
I like to keep the temperature of the wax at about 165 degrees, and then my very last bit.
There's a reason it's a treat.
A mainstay.
Not an entree.
Not 1-0, or 1-0. It's number 1. And I like
now we're going to floss the table too. Do a couple more rubber bands just to hold it all together. So again, I open it up, slither underneath the shirt, and then drop it. And so you'll do that a few times from a few different angles until it's a nice tight little packet.
10 times.
There you go. Great work. So you're going to do exactly the same thing as she is. And those big thick rubber bands, they might flip your whole thing up on itself like a taco.
Okay.
Because they're really hardcore rubber bands.
I like it.
Yes.
What's that? I'm glad.
Yeah, we've got mandala dyeing on Thursday. Next week we have an upcycling class, and then there's an intro to tie-dye, which is just like very basics.
What do you mean by upcycling?
You're just going to hold it down in there and let it. Yeah, all the way down in there.
Is it will let go? I mean, just
It will. Here, I'll poke it. Yeah, I would push it down in there and just hold it. There you go.
Got it. I got
going a little bit further.
That's fine. There you go.
Okay, and then I let it go over here.
So I'm going to add a little more wax.
Shake them off. Oh, yeah. I used to have a cat who loved to play with lizards. Catch the lizards. And cut the leg off.
And then
Yeah, it'll cool off a little bit. You can just pull it off. So what I did with that one. I'm all about it. And they're all. That's what you can see. Just a little bit of the bottom like this. Just your shirt to its saturation point. Like that. And then when it stops dripping, go in a little bit more.
10 minutes. We're going to make a puddle underneath your shirt.
And then a little bit more.
Which takes
and then just do the bottom piece. So just okay. So
you go all the way up.
I know not yet. And resist the urge to straighten your wigs again. And yeah. So we're gonna do that twice. So 2 rounds of that interval dipping. So that you get the taper.
We only have better.
So it's fatter.
Using yours, just say
We're doing a twist. Not 18 at a time. And I get tempted to when you go back to my moss.
It's fun. It will, definitely. Yeah. And I like it because every time you combine it, that does look perfect. Yeah. So this is
all together.
Here's what you get. Washing instructions. Professional washing instructions. And they're even made to tie onto your bag. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to double bag them. We're going to stick them in bag number 1. And then we're going to stick them in bag number 2 because they don't want that leaking in your car. And then it says, show us how it came out. Yeah. Please do, once you've washed it and dried it, tag me on Instagram in a photo or on Facebook so I can see how they come out.
Yeah, onion skins are awesome.
Oh yeah, I hear they make a really pretty yellow.
Yeah, I just keep onion skins. I just keep a jar on my counter, and so every time I cut an onion, I put the skins in there. Really? And then over time, you just have this. It's a beautiful jar of onion skins, and then you can make a tie back out of that.
Wow.
You like it with yellow onion skins or purple onion skins? Either.
What are some other natural dyes that you guys used or recommend?
As you get around to right here, if you want to look and see it, your candles need straightening. Because by the time you get here, they'll be cool enough for you to start working on
Nuts.
Yeah.
Walnuts are great.
Yes. Walnuts. What do they?
You can make ink.
One is they basically boil the nuts.
Really?
And use the liquid.
Oh, really? Oh, that's so tasty. You might want to go just a little bit back. All those on the right there, all those buildings that buildings upstream. I love that. Me too. Yeah. More difficult than the things we were doing here today.